Perfect. All right, I think it's time to start the show.
Oh no.
All right, we're coming live. What's up, everybody? Boom! Now that Jeremy's camera's not working. All right, let me do a little editing here.
That's the worst.
All right, Jeremy, you introduce the show while I write.
I hate you so much.
Damn, it got way worse too.
It got worse, right? Son of a... I froze. I actually froze.
This is perfect. I like this better. All right, Jeremy, what are we doing today?
All right, so we have quite the lineup of topics for you guys today. A lot of things have happened in the month of February. For those of you that don't know, this is Brian F. Rynge is taking over for Filipinoman, and of course, you guys are watching twitch.tv/Sajam. So right off the bat, to kind of talk about things, to start off, February 4th, we had the reveal of Evo, and my face is just gonna stay like this. I'm just gonna keep it like this. This is fine because this is just gonna end up on like Spotify or something, so they're just gonna listen to my voice. But in all seriousness, the Evo lineup, pretty big deal. To kind of just talk about what made it to the lineup: Smash Ultimate, Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5 coming back, Uniclear coming back as well, DBFZ in its third season, Samurai Showdown coming back, Soul Calibur 6 as well, and some of the biggest ones that I thought were the inclusion of Granblue, considering it's been released, or it's about to be released in America in a week, less than a week probably. And of course, MVC2 being on the docket as a throwback tournament for its, 20th year?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the 20th anniversary, so that's what they announced for the, Marvel tournament coming back, which I'm pretty excited. I'm like... At first, I was kind of sad that it was a It was a like invitational, like half invitational, half qualifying via play-ins. But thinking about it, it kind of makes sense, I guess, for like this to be an exhibition tournament because there is an open bracket tournament at Evo, right, for the game anyway. There's 3 qualifiers, and then the 4th slot is the Evo LCQ. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Evo lineup in general, though, I guess we should talk a little bit about and what we think about. Yeah,
so I mean, for me, when we were all watching it together, at least in spirit.
In spirit, yeah.
One of the biggest ones that I thought right off the bat was MK not being included into it, which was pretty wild, considering how it's only been about a year since the game came out.
Yeah, it's been 10 years since like an NRS game has not been an Evo. Actually, yeah, it's like
NRS representative at all.
Yeah, very weird to not have an NRS game there, I have to say. It's like super surprising. I think a lot of people are super sad and upset about it. But there is a lot of like, I think, interesting discussion that's come up about it, about how like maybe NRS fans being so negative about their game all the time had an impact on how people view the game and how lively it is, you know what I mean? Which is interesting because the game sold extremely well, and it's like super easy to find and play matches. The netcode's great, like, and NRS themselves do so much for the community. The finals is coming up literally next weekend, right? You can watch the finals for their tour next weekend. It's going to be in Chicago. That's right. It's going to be awesome. But I'm super surprised. I think maybe it's like a combination of attitude of the community and also that the finals last year kind of played kind of flat. But I'm not sure why NRS is not at Evo this year.
That's pretty interesting that you mentioned like the attitude of the community, because I feel like on the other hand, the game that I was shocked that is returning is Samurai Showdown.
Yeah, me too.
I think it has the complete opposite story where I don't think it's sold that great. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's no fighting game is near MK11 numbers besides Smash, right?
Yeah.
And the community online is terrible, right? But the community, I feel like the face you see is very active support and a lot of grassroots movements behind playing that game. There's the Ronin Rumble online tournament series going on. So I feel like as a outsider looking in, there's a lot of positive reception to the game, even though there's obvious flaws with the product itself. But compared to MK11, it's like the product itself has a lot of shine and it's a very functioning game and sold very well. But I do agree that there is kind of like that community perception of, I don't like the way the game is playing, patch this, patch that.
It's
but
it's
I'm
very
still
normal.
shocked. I feel like MK11 would have been in over Samurai Showdown if I were to guess this without seeing the announcement.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. And honestly, I love MK. I like this version of MK a lot too. So I'm really sad that it's not there. And, I think NRS is like the kind of company that will make up for it by just making their events kind of shine and having their own stuff within their community. I mean, even the community runs a lot of different tournaments that they do all the time online because the netcode's so good. So I think the NRS community will not suffer so bad from not having their game at EVO either. But it is disappointing to me, because I love MK. I'm always down to watch it and enjoy it. I just think that it's an interesting time to be to think about the community's attitude about their game and how after a year, it fizzles so bad, It goes from
right.
oh man, I'm so happy about this new game to, Injustice 2 was actually better the whole time, even though we hated it a year ago. And now, the new game comes out and it's you know what, MK11 was actually really great. It's the attitude is so tiresome. There's such a I guess, a vicious cycle that keeps happening over and over with the community. And I've never really liked that much.
Ed Boon is already joking about Injustice 3, but you've already seen the tweets about, Injustice 3. Wow, what if this character was in Injustice 3? So I mean, they're feeding into it. This is their bread and butter for NRS. So yeah, I mean, they kind of like that. I think as a company, keep everyone always wanting more. They're always coming back for the next iteration of either of their franchises. So I think it could be also driven by NRS themselves, like the chat was mentioning. They think NRS is trying to do their own thing. I kind of suspect that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what benefit NRS gets from feeding into EVO being the event when they're also running their own tour with way more money.
Right.
And I don't know. EVO's just way more corporate now. It's hard to know what exactly is going on behind the scenes and what's required to be a game in the lineup.
I'm glad you brought up that point because there was speculation last year, right, that MK11 Finals wasn't on Sunday in the stadium because of how violent of a game it is, right? And it's not necessarily a family-friendly type viewing experience. They kind of want everybody to pack into the stadium and watch all these games and whatnot. So I'm wondering if that had to do with it. If it did, it probably had little to do with it. But MK11 in general, yeah, the community feedback it's not a good look, right? Even the Kill Sage said on the No Frills podcast about how he specifically doesn't like to complain about anything he doesn't like in Dragon Ball Fighters because he doesn't want to run people off the game. And I mean, MK11 players and personalities end up kind of doing that a little bit. Even David tweeted about it, right? About how he thinks his Twitter has kind of contributed to that fact. So it's something that I think the NRS community needs to reflect on themselves. But as you said, that's kind of the cycle it goes with anyway. I don't know. It's kind of hard to read for me.
Yeah, I'm also with you about the NRS maybe just wanted to do their own thing and pull away from EVO. And I guess from EVO's perspective as well, last year's finals I thought was a really flat finals, right? Especially because Sonic Fox won the tournament, but they were also in Dragon Ball earlier in the day. And if you compare the Dragon Ball top 8 and how exciting that was to the winning moment and how MK ended and how MK top 8 was, it was incredibly long with tons of breaks and just it felt really flat, right? It didn't feel like it delivered a really exciting top 8 for a first year game at EVO, which is something that is pretty big. So I think all the literally every other tournament for MK11 has been super tight, and I'm sure that the finals coming up is going to be great. The summit for it was great. I'm sure that it's going to be fine, right? And whatever NRS wants to do themselves will be awesome because that company's they're great with how they kind of do their community events and stuff. So yeah, I think that's surprising to me, but I also trust that NRS and NRS fans will have something great to deal with instead of EVO.
Yeah, hopefully something comes up with maybe within a time frame to see some sort of announcement for their pro tour. But again, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Their finals is happening next weekend, around the weekend of the 7th. And also around that weekend, there's also Granblue happening. Next week, the release is on the 3rd, and then they have their launch party happening on the 7th as well. And this is a title, obviously, that's not out yet, but it's already included into the EVO lineup. I know, I think majority of us have had a good amount of time with it, with the international release so far. Your thoughts on it being included on EVO and just the game in general?
Yeah, EVO always seems to do this now, right? They gamble on some game that's coming out, and even during the announcement, Wizard said something I hope the game is good, right? He was I hope that this inclusion to EVO ends up being a good game, right? Which I thought was
Is this the game that was announced for EVO the furthest away from the release date? Because I think the other one was Cross Tag. What was the last one?
Tag was a month before EVO.
Yeah, that was close.
Launched. Yeah,
this is very, very far.
Yeah,
the biggest gap between announcement and actual release that I've seen, at least.
And Sam Show was like that last year too, right? Where it wasn't out.
Yeah,
Sam Show.
It wasn't out yet by the time they announced it for EVO. seems like there's always one, right? There's always one game that's gonna come out like that. And even like Wizard said something on there like, oh yeah, well, Granblue is in or whatever. He's like, we can't do Guilty Gear, that comes out late in the year. Like he was like, we wanna do all these games, but we can't do it because it's not out yet, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, like, so I'm not surprised Granblue made it. I think a lot of us expected that game to be there, given like Arxis and also that Cygames the year before and like Evo Japan and stuff has been like a sponsor for Evo before, so it seemed pretty likely the game would make it in. That being said, I had no faith that the game was going to be good. Before it came out, like, I just didn't assume I would enjoy the game at all. I just didn't think it was going to be my speed. But once I played it, I love it. I think the game's awesome. As if you've tuned into my channel the last month, I've been streaming and playing the game a ton. I really, really like it. So I guess I got lucky in that sense. But yeah, there's always that kind of, like last year, for instance, Sam Show was that game, right? That came out and I tried it and I was like, it's not really for me. But like this year, it turned out to be Granblue. And I think it'll have like a similar effect on the community where like all the community events up to Evo will have tons of entries for Granblue because the game is new. The game is rather simple. People are interested in it. Evo is going to be big for it. And then we'll see what the community really, like how the community rallies together and what the numbers are like post Evo.
So wait, how did you play the game? I'm confused.
What are
you talking about?
There was the delay-based netcode cops had a delay-based release, so I had to delay my console back to an Asian version of it so that I could purchase the Hong Kong.
Why is it delaying it backwards?
Yeah.
Moving forward and being advanced.
The unfortunate thing is I can't roll back my Hong Kong version into a Steam version because they just announced that. And so
that's right, yeah.
They did.
On the 13th. We're about to get this game 3 times.
I'm not buying it 3 times. You're out of your damn mind.
Buying it 3 times. See, for me, I personally just gave up. See, I thought I was going to do, the anime community a favor for giving this game a chance,
Make it an 8-person finals in the bathroom.
Yeah. Exactly. I was going to make it 8 people, give it a chance, give it a shot. But then the moment they added that one extra layer of obscurity from me being able to purchase it, having to jump through some hoops to be able to get a Hong Kong version of an account, to be able to download it, interest fizzled out.
It wasn't too hard. I'm just gonna tell
it was
you
hard if you did it in Japanese like me. That shit was
English.
You gotta understand, Call of Duty bros and Halo nerds are not going to go out of the way to download an anime fighter if you can't just allow them to purchase the game.
And you have to remember, that's what Street Fighter players are. Gustavo he's the model Street Fighter player. He's buff. He's got a job. He's got a 6-pack. Him and his bros are like, they're cheering when they make it into top 48 with their beers, and stuff.
I definitely know a lot of Street Fighter players that used to be Halo bros. That was kind of where I got started too. So if you want to appeal to some of the other parts of the FGC, you make this shit easy to purchase. That's crazy.
See,
we're still having issues with getting games like that.
You got to hide a copy next to the 45-pound weight in the gym, and all the buff, immaculate Street Fighter players with their perfect teeth and chiseled bodies will be like, wait, I could find this in the bathroom, and they'll grab a copy.
Is that footsies?
So now I'm just picturing them putting like 50 discs on each side of the bench press. Yeah, just bench discs. Like, oh,
they're like, I need a 5. You got a 5? And they just put Granblue on both sides. It's like sick.
Yeah, I can see that. That's pretty good. I like that a lot, actually.
That's what Street Fighter players look like, right? They all look like Gustavo.
Exactly. My question with this whole thing, though, this whole fiasco of like releasing it early internationally, I mean, like, why? Well, I don't know what the reasoning was behind them delaying the release for North America as well as Europe. I didn't get to really look into it because as soon as the game came out, I was just grinding it out. But has anyone ever read into it as to why, or maybe in the chat, right? Like, why did they even bother delaying the release?
I don't know. It seems like it's a localization issue, right? It's not the first time this has happened where I feel like it's uniquely Japanese-made games that are always just like delayed releases everywhere else for some strange reason, It's very weird. I honestly don't know why it happened. You would assume they would want to release it everywhere worldwide at the same time. So,
sure.
Yeah, because the European version's coming out after the Steam version, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
it is.
pretty wild. It's pretty wild for sure.
Yeah. There's been no official reason as far as I know, which is... Yeah, it means that somewhere, somehow, something got messed up bad, right? Because you obviously want everything to come out at the same time. It's unfortunate for sure. It makes me sad.
Definitely. Yeah. It should be a fun game to watch at EVO, though, right? Because it's one of those games that, like Sam Cho, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's pulling in people from all over and like everybody from separate communities, right? We see Kid Viper playing it. We see Justin Wong playing it, etc. We see Cloud 805 playing it.
Sonic and Goichi.
Yeah, Goichi, Sonic, all these players. So it's real dope just because of that. But yeah, I can't wait for the actual tournament season to get started for that game, because all we've really had so far is like locals, and those are cool, you know what I'm saying? But I want to see the major competition.
Yeah, we
Can
haven't
you
really
clear
seen
something up for
anything
me?
like that.
So for someone who abandoned all hope of getting into another anime game, can you explain just how broken these block button OSs actually are, and if
Very
it's
broken.
the future of the game? Because the picture that I got as just consuming the Twitter feeds of all the superior anime footsie players is that this game has no future, because it's going to be a completely solved game where everyone's just going to be inputting perfect
They're going to be doing this.
block OSs. Just doing that, and then the moment you press anything, a proximity OS will happen with an invincible DP, and that's going to be the entire game.
That's
so
correct.
Is that
Well, look.
actually how the game is going to play out? Is that being addressed?
Look,
It is being addressed. They actually made a statement about that, how it's going to be taken out. As to what extent, I'm not sure, because there's still tech being developed and found every single week. But the ones that you've been seeing on Twitter feeds with the proximity OS are being addressed. There was a few other things that the block button kind of does, like with I guess their positioning in the air as well, being able to get like certain cross-ups you never would have before because of your character turning around. They're being addressed little by little, but for now, the official
well, hold on
statements,
there, partner. Hold on there, partner. You said a lot of stuff. What they said was there's some unintended use of the block button that have been found, and it'll be fixed for the US release. That's when the patch is going to come out. That's all they said.
No
they didn't say
hope.
exactly
I
what it
hope.
was at all. Literally, they didn't say this
They're
tech
going to
or
fix
that
some
tech or
other
anything.
bug that no one even found yet, and this is just going to rock. That's what I want to see. I want to see.
That's
this
what I was
evolve
getting at.
from the ultimate footsies game to just pure OS spamming nonsense. No one's ever going to attack just because the moment they do, they'll just get blown up by a DP.
Yeah, the thing is
kind of
that
the
proximity
future I
OSs are they've been in other fighting games too, right? Like
Other
Street
arcs
Fighter
is
4.
released fighting games.
well, yeah, and in Street Fighter 4 also. It was in Street Fighter. It's been in a lot of different
Street
games.
Fighter 4 had it, but it was kind of hard to
Yeah.
do, because if you messed up the input, it was a tight window. You would just get your ultra, right?
Yep.
That's what you would do. The button and put your ultra behind it, and if they try to counter poke you, but they weren't right with the spacing or whatever, you would immediately get a perfect ultra to come out. And Aliun was the one actually implementing that and doing it in games.
Yeah.
But no, it never really took off. So that's why I was wondering if what people are doing in Granblue, if it's more feasible and
Yes.
actually being used right now.
The reason it's more feasible is because in this game you hide it with a block button. So like it's much easier to
Right.
hide it behind a block button than a whiffed attack or a whiffed move or whatever it is,
Right.
right? So but I think we suspect that their message is, hey, the block button proximity OS is going to be removed. That's like the thing that it seems like. The other stuff with the block button, it's like unsure of, right? There's actual functionality with it on dealing with left-right mix-ups and dealing with all kinds of other stuff, and there's defensive OSs with it. Whether those get changed or not, we'll see, because I think like a lot of people suspect the way they'll handle the block button proximity OS is just by making like block have a higher priority or something so that it beats out the other options it's trying to do, and that could mess up a bunch of other OSs or create new OSs. Like, you know, we don't know
Right.
exactly what's even going to happen yet.
That's
so.
kind of how I feel. I feel like this might be just an endless cycle, because a block button, I feel like, just opens you up to so many possible
Sure, yeah.
engine exploits.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it plays out.
And also think even considering like removing the block button would make
I don't think they
characters
will.
extremely not extremely overpowered, but like very, very strong characters
Yeah.
for sure.
They're going to have to try to figure out how to make the option selects either manageable ones or ones that they think are like okay versus what the ones exist now. The proximity block OS is probably too powerful.
Was the
But
block
I think a
button
lot of
presented-
people haven't really implemented it a ton yet because they immediately kind of were like, hey, this is going to get patched. So I think a lot of people were like, all right, well, like, you know, planning my game plan around that is maybe not the best idea if it's something that's going to be removed.
So was the block button ever presented as something to make the game easier? This
Of
is kind of
course.
an interesting.
Yes.
So to me, someone mentioned this about Mortal Kombat one time, and it really opened my eyes about it. They said, yeah, in Mortal Kombat, at least we can't OS our walk away with a block. And I was like, damn, I never thought about it that way. How in every other fighting game, when you walk back, you're OSing block.
Mhm.
But when you have a block button, there's no OS behind your movement. And to me, that made me think, wait, this is actually covering less options. You have to commit to blocking. You can't just do movement and blocking at the same time.
The other
I feel like
thing,
this is another example of making the game easier. It doesn't make it easier.
yeah, the other thing about that too is that there is like zero proximity guard in MK because of that, right? Because you have to commit to the block button. So when Injustice comes out, Notice how Injustice is always like a defensive game, right? It's because that game is a non-block button game with no proximity guard. So then every move in that game, you can just walk away from it and block with no proximity guards.
Gap, make more space.
So whiff punishing in that game is, and like walking back and having a forward advancing move to whiff punish is extremely powerful because no proximity guard and no block button. So you just fly away from every move and then like you just hold back and you're out of everything.
And then go back in. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find that always interesting when people try to, or developers try to implement things to make things easier. I feel like half the time it makes the game harder for people to get into.
It definitely can, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually curious, Brian. I know you're waiting for the NA release. Would you actually take it seriously? This
He's gonna transfer from Koahime? Oh shit.
I'm curious.
I mean, I've already dominated one anime scene. What's another? No biggie. I'm joking, but when I played Kohime, I was like, is that my rank online? I played 3 matches and I was ranked like top 10 in the world. I was like, is this like Smash where the number goes up or it goes down?
Sure,
and I was like, oh, it's going down.
That's pretty funny.
I personally would want to see you tackle or break down that game as well.
Yeah, I gave up. I was slightly.
Come on, man.
Like I said, when they added any sort of challenge for me to get the game, the hype train has already died for me. It was building up a little bit. I was giving it some attention, and then it deflated. I don't got time for that.
Over here, I'm learning Japanese and shit, trying to navigate the menus. I'm learning another language. It's been great.
we wish we could have included you on our deal. Rynge and I actually got the Hong Kong version. And the limit is like 2 people sharing an account.
Yeah, and then you tweeted, "Hey guys, guess what? All the Hong Kong cards are back in stock. Go pick them up." And I went to get some to fucking buy the game. They're all sold out. I was like, "Thanks, Jeremy. Your fucking tweet got everybody to buy the goddamn cards." So now I'm over here learning Japanese.
I did you a favor.
Naruhodo. I'm over here fucking just learning all this Japanese. I'm like, all right, that's his main menu in fucking katakana. Sure, yeah, I'll click that. You fucking sick fuck.
Baka Gaijin.
Sucks.
But overall, I mean, I wish I could ask Brian about his experiences with the game, but it's been pretty positive. I mean, all of us, we've been playing it. I've been playing it like every single day.
Yeah. You're an addict. You said it ruined your sleep schedule, your gym schedule, your life, and shit. Like every time I ask you,
it's taken over. It really has taken over, and it's kind of taken over for SoCal as well. We've seen like vast numbers of players at their locals, and NLBC getting some pretty decent numbers as well with this game from all walks of life in the FGC. So it's been a pretty positive reception, and it's pretty interesting to see the fluctuation of who people think are like the strongest characters. It's been changing week after week.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sure, right?
normal, I think.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, everybody was hype about Matera, and then she fell off super quick. Like, everybody was like, okay, second day into it, this character's not that great. Then Fairy, of course, rose to prominence. And yeah, I think right now people are kind of settling around like Gran, Catalina, Fairy, Lancelot, right? Those are like the top 4.
Lancelot's the fucking best. That character's so good.
He's
good.
Too cool to play, I feel like.
He's just a bitch. He just flies around and does whatever he wants, dude. Character's an asshole. Yeah, he was clearly the only person I ever heard say Lancelot was bad was Cloud. So I was like, all right, this character's cheap. It's like the easiest way to know.
Wasn't Japan sleeping on Lancelot at the beginning?
Maybe, but now obviously everybody's like, oh shit, Lancelot's he's messed up.
Yeah, of course, right?
Cheap
but
character for sure.
I think Japan kind of has a history of sleeping on characters at the beginning of the game, or thinking these characters are not that good. And
they had Catalina. They had Catalina like bottom 3. The first tier list I saw, right, that was popular, but it's just one guy's opinion, right? So it's hard to know the actual like scope of what everybody thinks.
And Latifa's been getting a lot of screen time internationally as well.
That character's good too. Yeah.
She has been busting up everybody. I forgot what the Twitter was or who the player was, but he's been like killing everybody. He's like a triple S ranked Latifa online, destroying like Mago, Fujimura.
The good news is that Granblue Versus will be another Evo medal for Kazunoko. He's putting another one on the board. He's adding it to the trophy case.
Yeah, he was the first one to get past the triple S1 rank, right? On the Lancelot, of course. Jeez. Definitely a character for him. So I can't wait to see some Kazunoko at Evo. And I saw Aqua did have Ladiva as like the 5th best character in the game. So yeah, people are recognizing the power of that character for sure.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to be adding a little bit more characters too. Once the NA release happens, I think and Nabaya are being released.
Yeah.
So the boss and the lady with the butterflies and the samurai sword is pretty cool. Looking forward to that. But speaking of Kazunoko, He also competed in the Dragon Ball World Finals not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know how he placed, but there's been a good amount of upsets that happened during not only like the qualifying pools, but in the actual tournament itself, the Invitational.
I don't think Kazunoko made it out of the group stages. He wasn't in the top 8.
Yeah, he didn't make top 8 at the event. So going from winning and dominating in season 1, but he was really the first one to figure out the meta, right? When it came to Dragon Ball Fighters, like he was the one that really pioneered Super Dash into assist call, and he had the broken characters, and then they patched the game, and his team remained the same and stuff like that. So he was definitely all about being the champion in season 1. Here in season 2, I think people caught up to the meta. Everybody figured out how to play the game properly. And then in season 2, you just had people rise to prominence like the Kill Sage, right? The Kill Sage obviously doing a whole lot better in season 2, even though he was a force to be reckoned with in season 1. But I think he really showed off the capabilities of characters like Brawly. And then, of course, GT Goku being released and everybody kind of jumping on that bandwagon and riding that to victory. And Goichi, I think, as well, just got very motivated from his season 1 performance, right? Obviously, he looked to be one of the best players in the game at the beginning. And then he had like a hand injury, kind of fell off, couldn't quite go to as many tournaments as he wanted to. And at the finals, he was, I think, third place in the season 1 finals. So season 2, he started it off with like 10 straight tournament victories until Sonic Fox finally beat him at 1. And then after that, he was still just like the most dominant player. My favorite story personally coming out of the Dragon Ball Fighters World Tour is the fact that Tachikawa got 4th place overall when he was the one that was kind of gatekept from that top 15 that got invited to the finals in the first place, right? And he got gatekept because he had the same points as Seo, which was the 15th place in the Dragon Ball Fighter standings. But to tiebreaker and to determine the tiebreaker, they went to the Saga points. And Tachikawa could not go to Evo because he got sick. He got put in the hospital. That's how sick he was. He couldn't go. So he didn't get any points from that event. So for him to go to the finals, win the LCQ, and then get 4th place, I mean, that was my favorite story for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously Goichi just being so incredibly dominant. Like those are the 2 big things about the event. Sage making a really deep run, and then Fenrich again, just chilling. The Linkin Park's playing in the background. You know, it's like, no, like not again. It's just, oh man, second place. But it was great. I thought the finals were really fun to watch. And high-level Dragon Ball, I feel like, always delivers, right? It's one of those games that when you watch the best players in the world play it, it's always a treat. And everywhere else, it's like it depends on your mood and how much you like the game. But finals and big events like that, I think, are always great. And it led into the changes that happened for this season, which I think a lot of people are really excited about. And the game probably needed pretty drastic changes overall, right, for people to like come back and be interested in stuff. So I think the patch looks cool. I thought the finals were really good. I'm pretty happy with where the game is currently.
I just want to say shout out to Apology Man. I feel like that was to me one of the best stories, making it all the way to 5th place, getting out of the pool with Sonic Fox in there. That was impressive. He was smoking, and the Kill Stage was just playing out of his mind. So love watching those 2 play. But yeah, I definitely agree that the game at high level is a totally different experience. At mid-level and below, it is the most repetitive game I have ever seen. I enjoy playing it a lot, but man, it's always great to finally see like the peak of the game because it's an entirely different experience.
Yeah, I think Apology Man had a great performance there too. That's true. I think everybody's a Sage fan, right? Like everybody watches the Kill Sage and it's like, this guy is sick. He's my favorite because people ask him questions about the game, or like somebody will say like, bro, don't you know the frame data on this move? And he's like, I don't know it at all. I know nothing about this game. He's like, I'm learning like everybody else. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So like that's like my favorite thing.
He's so unashamed of like sourcing information out to his chat too, right? He's like, hey chat, what are these base Goku extensions? Even in season 3, even his latest stream, right? He's like, tell me what the extensions are, blah, blah, blah. Like he just plays his ass off, and he's a very like great performer to watch. But if you've ever watched like his Born Free interview, he talks about how he's like, no, when I started playing fighting games, I sucked. I wasn't like some Prodigy or like Sonic Fox, right, where I pick up the game super quick and then I'm just godlike at it. Like I have to grind my ass off to get to the point where I am. And because of that, I think everybody's behind Sage, and he just has a fantastic attitude. Like we said before, right? He doesn't want to bitch about the game on Twitter because he doesn't want to drive people away. Like he sees the big picture. I'm a big Sage fan for sure.
Yeah, the representation overall was pretty good for at least the North American folks. I mean, what Apology Man, Super Noon as well with the run of his life. He also was he the one to deliver the killing blow against Kazunoko? I can't remember. I know he went up against him.
Yeah, that sounds right to me because they play in groups, right? The only thing that I know about Super Newton making top 8 is I always talk tons of shit about his Bardock and about how bad it was because it was so bad for so long. And when he made top 8 at the tournament, I told him when he came back to Wednesday Night Fights, I was like, I'm not going to talk any shit about your Bardock for like 2 weeks. And he was like, wow, really? I was like, yeah, your Bardock is sick. For like 2 weeks, I'm just going to tell everybody your Bardock is sick. After that, we'll see how I'm feeling. But for 2 weeks, I won't say anything bad about your Bardock.
Yeah.
I think season 3 has done some good shakeups, like we alluded to before, right? Giving people the assist selection. Everybody's been wanting that since the beginning of the game, really. So giving everybody B and C assists. It's an interesting idea what they did with C assists, right? There's 2 types of C assists where you can like home in on the opponent and get the combo after, or they just come out and throw a beam and get a combo after. But the fact that the C assist cooldown is 12 seconds when the regular A and B assists are 4 is definitely something I'm interested in seeing how it develops in the meta. Like if people are actually going to find C assists worth it in the long run. I think the best C assist like right now is probably Frieza in comparison to the A and B assists. So, and Frieza, of course, going to be a popular character too because of his changes. But in general, I think some of the system mechanic changes are good. Limit break being 20% extra damage, very scary. I want it lowered to 10%, but it's very scary right now. You do get a key gauge when you get limit break. I think that's cool. I think they should definitely keep that. I think the EX bars being half a bar is definitely super cool as well. And of course the snapback changes, right? Everybody wanted that, and everybody wanted to get rid of the snap meta because all you saw at high level play was people getting hit, getting carried to the corner, and then getting snapbacked and getting locked out of their assists and your defensive options. They had to spend their sparking to get out of this pressure. Now you can delay your incoming up to 30 frames, so it's like delay rise in that game. It's not just set timings. So yeah, it's definitely pretty cool.
Interesting.
But also the default incoming is a lot faster, right?
Boom,
Like,
it's instant.
Yeah, instant. So just coming in immediately is often really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's a mid-screen snap, you can't really get any pressure going from that.
Yeah,
Precisely.
it's very hard
really
to cover
happy
it all.
I'm the one change I'm not unsure about is the limit break because I feel like what is the goal here? The goal is to provide a comeback mechanic for when you're down 3v1, or is the goal to end games faster? Because I feel like the game overall could have maybe just used a slight damage boost, like or not just a boost when you have when you're down. If they just increase the damage overall slightly, I feel like you could have avoided some of these situations. But I'm not 100% sure how I feel about just giving you a damage boost only when you're losing.
So they did universally change 5H and 2H smashes. They increased the damage on those as well. So that doesn't exactly answer the whole problem of increasing all of the damage, but that has made certain touch of deaths easier to get to, and then they do like 1,000 damage basically. I don't remember what they did before.
I just feel like the problem was if you got down to 3-1, making a comeback just took so long that you were just wasting your mental energy on a game that you're going to lose like 95%, 98% of the time.
Yeah, it was a miserably bad. Like your chances were horrible, right? Like,
And you might sometimes I feel like you might as well just give up, right? You might as well just give up and preserve your mental fortitude for the next match because your odds are so stacked against you that I feel like if the damage was just higher in general, you could just, I don't know, possibly make the comeback and games wouldn't drag out as long because I feel like that was kind of an issue was sets would just take forever even at first to 2.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too is like with Snap being really strong, like and you not being able to murder people when you hit them meant every hit was like 25% damage into a snap, into like some guaranteed pressure because this is the only part of the game where they don't have like guard cancel and reflect and vanish out of different situations and sparking that you can do out of block stun in like every situation, right? So you had to guarantee some offense, and then you got a hit and you're like, sick, I got a hit, but I have meter penalty because I had to use a bar to get the snap, and now I'm only doing 15% damage into another snap. Like it was kind of one of those things where it all just led into the game being like 20 really small hits or something like that, instead of it being like most versus game where it's like, oh, we got hit by like 5 Magneto standing jabs. All right, well, he's dead. Right? It's like that's the confirm.
What was the point of the meter? So the meter penalty made sense to me when they had snap because I feel like you often burnt meter to get the snap set up. But does it really make sense anymore? I don't really understand what that's addressing right now.
It's probably okay because of the half bar EXs. Because if there was no meter penalty, it would be fucking. I don't even know what would be happening. Everybody would be doing EX moves every 5 seconds. Like you'd just be flying around the screens and doing all kinds of. Which is, to be fair, what Dragon Ball probably should be like. But yeah, with the half EX bar now, I think it makes more sense. Like the meter penalty doesn't feel so bad. There's also meter building assists, right? Or meter building assists, which is nice too.
That base Goku
It's
assist.
so
I don't know if
good.
you've seen it, Brian.
So
but
good.
I'll just tell you about it real quick. I don't want to get on a rant too much. But the first 3 times you call base Goku B assist, it builds you 75% of a bar. Every time you call it after that, it is a whole bar, 100% of a bar right there. Yeah. And you get the leveled up Spirit Ball when you come in on base Goku.
Oh, it powers
That's
him up
actually
as
yes.
well.
Yeah,
Yes.
that assist is tight.
Okay, I've heard people saying base Goku might be the wave. I didn't know he had a way to charge up a Spirit Bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good.
He's super good in this patch. And one more point I want to address that Ryan brought up actually is the fact that when you get down 3v1 in this game, a lot of the time you're like, should I just give up and keep my mental energy for the next game? That's something we've seen in versus games before, right? Marvel 2, right? Marvel 2, people just straight up let go of the controller. They're all right, 3v1, I'm done. I'm not gonna play this.
Yeah,
anymore.
Psylocke comes in and she's not moving. Like, Commando comes in or like it's like over. It's like, yep.
So
The only
that's
person
like a
moving is
gift and a
Cyclops
curse,
and
right?
Justin.
Because once you have that aspect, coming back is super hype. If you actually pull it off, even though it takes a while, like people get all energetic and it's intense and whatnot. And in this game, with the way Limit Break is right now, I feel like people are like, man, this is some BS more than you earn the comeback. But
Right.
we'll see,
That's why I felt like I'm unsure of that, because maybe if they just increase damage overall, it would address that a little bit without going overboard, because now it's forced when you are down rather than just in general consequences are higher overall for every interaction.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out.
I've seen the meter, but how exactly is Limit Break triggered? Or is it just like a passive thing? Like if you are down, then it'll just like the meter will go towards your benefit, and then you would just get these bonuses as soon as like it hits a certain area of the gauge. I actually haven't seen or
you get like
really
a
dabbled
foxtail.
with it.
When you're down to your last character, you come in. Looks like a foxtail to me. I don't know.
It's
if
like the
icon is
golden
next to it.
bar.
Yeah, and
it's
then
literally
basically it just
once
means
you
you're
just
powered
get
up.
Yeah, it's literally once you just get down to your last character, Jeremy.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
on
That
top of,
happens, it activates.
It's
you could also have, like,
realistic
sparking
to the
stack on top
lore
of that as well,
because
right?
like when Goku's
Right.
friends die, he's just incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So that it's exactly it's realistic to the
Gotcha.
lore. It's like everybody else is dead. All right, now it's time for me to fight and save everybody because they're all dead.
So with the inclusion of that kind of like comeback mechanic and making the characters even stronger, I wonder how that's going to affect some of the newer characters coming in, because they won't. I don't know. I don't remember how often they would like patch out characters, the DLC characters after the release. But from what I've seen so far, Kefla seems to be pretty good. I don't know if she would be altered significantly throughout time, or at least this season. But overall thoughts on the character, I've seen a lot on Twitter so far. She has a pretty decent touch of death routes that I've seen from Nakiel. I know you guys have been messing with the character for a while too.
Yeah,
since she released.
I played her. I think she's very good. I think she seems like a good character. A lot of people are like, I think maybe a little early reaction are like, oh my god, she's everybody. You gotta play her. I don't think she's that good. I think she seems like a good character. A lot of people freaked out because Goichi started playing Kefla, and they were like, wait, whoa. She's good. And on your question about patching and stuff, so previously they never patched mid-season. Like last season there was no mid-season patch, even when everybody was pissed about GT Goku. In this version they said, hey, if there's something that we need to address mid-season, we'll consider it, right? So if there is something that just seems like it's too much, or there's something that wrong with the game, we will step in and patch it, versus last season where they're kind of hands off. So yeah, Kefla seems good to me. She seems like pretty scary character overall. She has like a really fast teleport that is like it's like this dash where she just flies across the screen, and she can do it in the air too. It's messed up. Even with cross-up protection existing in the game, there's like some pretty dangerous uses of it, and also just in neutral, it's like really scary. And her damage output is super high. She has like what's that move that Nina had in Cross Tekken, where she like jumps and does like this big like overhead looking move that's a low that like
That's a low.
that led to mad damage. She has that move where she just dives at you and it's a low and you just get exploded from half screen. She's a really dangerous character.
Yeah, so in addition to that, right, like you mentioned, that move is a special, right? So you can cancel it during any time of your block string. In addition to that, she has a 6H command normal that's an overhead. So one of the things in Dragon Ball FighterZ is like block strings, and you can anticipate when like the overhead or 2M mix-up is coming, right? Because they can only come from mediums or lights. In this game with Kefla, she can do it from mediums or H's and stuff like that. Actually, I don't think she can do it from 5H, but she can do it later in a block string than most characters can. And that's what caught a lot of people off at the beginning of the game when Cell had that low 6H, right? Or he still does, but people got used to it. But the fact that she has an alternative, the fact that she can go low Lariat is definitely super dangerous. And we've seen Goichi play the character already, right? He ran a offline set with Kefla, Bardock, Frieza up against Fenrich. And Sajam talked about the cross-up protection with the teleporter and whatnot. So Goichi's like solution to that so far is the fact that she has the Hell Zone type super, right, where all these like explosions happen on the screen, and he has Frieza assist, the A assist, which causes another explosion. So when you do those things in conjunction, like the teleport is very hard to see. Like it's very hard to notice where Kefla is on the screen. And he has a setup where he can keep it in front in the corner anyway. So, Goichi already exploiting a lot of tech. Yeah,
it's messed up because like they took like Hellzone got nerfed for Piccolo and stuff. Like it's like they've nerfed a lot of the things about Piccolo. People are sad about Piccolo and stuff. They just this character's got Hellzone. She's got low lariat. She's got a manual overhead with her 6H. Like they're like, yeah, it should be fine. She's got Vegito L. It's like, yeah, it'll all work out. I was like, okay, well, yeah, sure, all right, no, it's all good.
Now, I mean, we've talked about some of the characters getting altered. I think what I wanted to get at was the significant changes that Rynge brought up with having different kinds of assists. Does that make the characters overall stronger? I know Krillin's been on the trending topic list for one of the characters that everybody wants to play. Brian, not a fan of bald people, I get it. But yeah, so Krillin has been moving up a little bit considering his assists.
Stop trying to make Krillin happen.
I'm not trying to do it because I don't play the game, Brian.
It's not Krillin itself. It's just people, low tier warriors, just accept your place
that he sucks.
In the meta. Just accept it.
Okay.
You see it in every game. The fanatics for every low tier. Like, oh man, this one piece of tech is what's going to set him over the top. I saw a tweet where someone said, "Here's my theory of fighting reason for why Krillin will replace SSJ Goku in the meta before the patch even dropped, and it was just like a level 3 knockdown, which he got like pressure after, and it's like, oh, because now you're not going to have rock assist, you also get a level 3 mix up also from this character, so use this character instead of SSJ Goku." And I'm like, what? If you have to think this much to make your character seem good, it's not good. Things that are simple and strong are the strongest aspects of like any fighting game. Simple and strong is the number one go-to option for any fighting game. So, the amount of mental gymnastics people do to make these characters happen, it's too much.
So then who has seen a considerable bump up in stats, or I guess in the tier list, considering their new assists in the game?
I don't know if it's like... It's interesting because there are assists that are better and stuff, but it's just like characters who like slot into other positions more naturally. Like Base Goku is a character that was good before, right? He was a pretty good character, but now he seems very strong in this version of the game. Funnily enough, like despite some nerfs, I think a lot of people think strong characters currently are Kid Buu, Bardock, GT Goku. Like those are like 3 characters that seem very strong still in this version of the game. But there are other characters that seem like they like on paper could be very good, but people don't know yet in practicality. Like maybe Blue Goku is like another example of a character that some people are like, maybe this character is very good. Like Broly, who was already good before, and actually the Z and I think the other version of Broly, the Super Broly, I think people think could be good now. Like the Z version was really good before, but people are unsure. Like Jiren, there's like lots of characters people are like, was this character really bad before and actually like great now? Is this a character that like slots into teams well? People are saying like Trunks also is maybe a good anchor because he has a beam now, but to be honest, I think Change the Future is just so absurd that I don't even know if the beam is like that big. But his other buffs I think are good. There's other characters that seem like they could be better, but it's hard to tell I think early. The nice thing is that if your team before suffered because you were missing an assist or something like that, I think almost everybody has like an assist that kind of slots in a way that you would probably want to use it now. So that part at least seems better to me.
Yeah, and Jiren, the only real Jiren player I knew from season 2 was Coach Steve.
Sure,
and he said that character probably went from like a low tier to mid tier. Like he's down to use him in competitive, so that's cool, right? To address like who has risen at least in popularity so far, 100% Frieza.
Yeah,
you
Frieza.
See that character all day online, and if you don't know the change, it's because Golden Frieza has a timer to it, and it doesn't tick down when he's in sparking now. So he's a very popular anchor character because you can get 44 seconds of Golden Frieza.
Do you think though that they all think that everybody's saying that Frieza is so like he's like the best, like Frieza's so good? Do you really think Frieza's that good? I think Frieza's better, but I don't know if I think Frieza's like a must-have character on a team.
Sounds like hype to me so far.
Yeah, I'm kind of there.
I feel like most of the changes. I'm not good at this game, but I keep up with it and I play casually. But I feel like most of the changes don't scream out any dramatic shifts in the meta as far as tiers go. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I think a lot of people were theory fighting that because you can swap out assist, if you can give a beam assist to anyone, that suddenly this character would be so relevant. But also, you give everyone assist variety, so why would you, if there's a better character that has a similar assist, why would you not just use that character? So, I don't know. And until they give 16, it's hard knockdown on his command grab. Does anyone really care about these changes? I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there. So bring back my boy 16.
You know, I saw Reynolds play. The first thing I saw is everybody's like, boo, 16 is not good. Like, what the fuck, man? What happened? And then, like, the first thing I see is Reynolds playing 16. I was like, of course, I should have known. Reynolds was playing a weird team at Wednesday Night Fights, which he's always playing weird teams. But, like, I really like the team he was playing. It's Gogeta, Vegito, and base Goku, and all he was doing was calling the meter build assist over and over and over, and just using like level 3, level 5 with these characters, Spirit Bomb. Like, he was just spending all this bar, like just dumping it on every combo, and I was like, that's hilarious. It's like such a Reynolds thing to do. He's like, I have meter, I'm just gonna hit you with big supers over and over. I was like, of course. It was really great. You're back, Jeremy. Your webcam fixed.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with the thing. I don't know what it is, but I think it's because I dropped my camera at Wednesday Night Fights once. Somebody, I was moving over the tables or the setup. But anyways, we'll not talk about that. Yeah, overall, I like the direction that DBFZ has taken so far. I like seeing all the new tech coming out and just how people get to express their characters even more so with the assists, and the new comeback mechanic has been pretty wild. So it's really cool to see. It's a really positive turn for him this season, and it's very experimental. I can get it, like, but I think it's a step in the right direction towards how fighting games should be, in my opinion. Let everybody have some busted stuff to work with.
It's good for versus game for sure. I think I think this new version's cool. I'm curious to see how it pans out, and maybe more teams might not be like the best, but more teams maybe are viable in this version, which is a good feeling, I think.
And I think GT Goku went from like must pick to not must pick, right? He's still very good, but that's just good to hear, right? That you don't have to pick this character. It's not going to give you the absolute best chance to win anymore. So that alone, it makes the roster a little bit more viable overall.
How many people in the LCQ are using GT Goku in the top 32? I think everybody besides like 4. I can count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in top 32 in LCQ didn't use GT Goku.
That sounds right.
And 5 of those were they were tied for top 32.
Yep.
So no one in the top 16. Actually, no, there's 2 people in top 16. I lied. But no one in top 8 did not use GT Goku.
Yeah, that character is absurd, or was absurd, and still is very good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, either way, I'm excited for the future of DBFZ finals, or just DBFZ in general. But kind of switching gears here, one of the other things we wanted to talk about that happened this month was the Street Fighter V netcode updates, as well as the official release of the Intel World Open rule set. Got a lot of heat all across the board from all social media, from the FGC. The netcode update was actually a slight fix towards like the playability for PS4 and PC, trying to fix that issue. As well as breaking the Altamore and Fluffy Sheep mod, or whatever that other person's name was.
Fluffy
I already forgot. Yeah,
Fluffy Sheep.
Cool. Yeah. So I didn't really get to play it. I was kind of like scared too. I had a great time with Altamore mod. I'm not gonna lie. One person I always test the connection with is Classico from Chicago, and that would be like my standard to see how playable it is. And since then, I haven't really been able to try it, but everybody's been kind of all right with it. More so disappointed.
Right. I tried all variations besides the Fluffy Sheep patch. The Altamore patch definitely was good, but had issues. I had plenty of issues with the slowdown occurring. I was just running Battle Lounge sets with other people with it. So sometimes it offered an improvement over PS4 to PS4, and sometimes it didn't. So, I mean, it wasn't a perfect solution. But that, man, I was kind of playing live that patch when it dropped for the official netcode patch. And I got to tell you, my experience on day 1, hour 0, was awful. But I think everyone had a pretty heated overreaction to what was going on, and I think a lot of people took my experience. I think that kind of happened where people saw me getting matched up with Mexico nonstop when I'm in Wisconsin, which is, I'm very far away from Mexico, so it's not. I'm not trying to rub the stereotype of bad connections in other countries. It's just I'm physically too far for that connection to work out with the infrastructure in the U.S. and with fighting game netcode. And for some reason, I just get matched up with people in Mexico and Dominican Republic all day. Yeah. And it was just terrible for me. And it's been that way. It's been terrible on PS4 since that update. But yesterday, I took 6 hours to play on my Smurf account, which I made for the Altamore patch. I took it to ranked, took it into the wild, and I had the best 6 hours of Street Fighter V I've ever had.
And that was on the PC version.
On the PC version of Ranked. And it's not a
that's-
one-to-one comparison because I was going through Bronze, Silver, Gold, which has a lot more players available than like I'm on my main account on a high rank. But yeah, it was great. There was only like in 6 hours, like 2 connections that were obviously bad. And the way they were bad was just like a big jump here and there. It was never constant stuttering, which is what I was experiencing in the PS4 patch. Constant stuttering to the point of like almost being nauseating, like giving me motion sickness. Constant stuttering and slowdown, which was the new implementation they added. They added slowdown to sync up the clients to reduce the amount of big rollbacks. Never had any of those, just a few rollbacks occurring. So I've been hearing things like PC, the implementation is working better for people versus PS4. This patch is worse. But overall, it's just hard to draw any conclusions.
In your 6 hours of play, that included like cross-play as well. You got matched up with PS4
Oh yeah,
players
I was
as
definitely
well.
playing PS4 players. I just did 5-bar only, and
see.
I would hit confirm the 5 bars. So sometimes a 5-bar would come in, then it would say 3 bars out of nowhere.
You'd hit,
So,
you had to hit confirm
practice
it
those
from
hit
the menu.
confirms. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great.
Yeah, obviously the initial reaction from all of us was like very negative. All of us were like, what? Nothing changed? Because the very first thing a lot of us saw were really bad connections, right? Like just horrible one-sided rollback connections and just like people having really bad experience all the time, right? So everybody was like, what? It's not changed at all. Like that was like the initial thought. The netcode has changed, but like it's not fixed, right? I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, the netcode's I saw so many people like, oh, the netcode's fixed. It's great for me, blah, blah, blah. That's not true, right? It's clear that the netcode is not fixed. There's still a lot of issues with it. One-sided rollback still existing and being very prominent is really brutal, right? It's such a rough feeling because the validity of the game is so rough. When you play someone, you're like, wow, that was great. That was a good connection. GG's, man. And he's like, yeah, I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And like, you don't even feel good about playing the match. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I guess GG's, I'm still better. Like, right, you know, you just feel bad. It's like not a satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
But like whether it works better on PC or PS4, I'm not sure what like the experience has been, but it's clear that there is still issues with the clock syncing in the game because sometimes the syncing works, sometimes it doesn't work. And the rough thing to me in this version is the slowdown for sure. The slowdown is brutal. Like losing your inputs is one of the big reasons people dislike delay and like rollback, right? Is like when you have rollback netcode, you don't worry about that. You just input what you want to input and it feels like offline. That's like the goal of that implementation. So to have rollback where you have the teleporting that rollback gives you occasionally on bad connections, but also having like the slowdown feels really weird. The good thing is that for some people, it seems like their connection is better. There was a poll that the SF5 server did, and so they asked, like, how do you guys feel about, you know, the connection? And 36% of people or whatever, 37% said they feel better, right? Which is cool. That is good. But then there was 22% that said it feels worse. And there was 40% that says it seems like it's the same or it didn't change. So overall, it seems like maybe the netcode is... I feel like the best way to think about it now is that it's different. It tries to do things right. It's closer to where the implementation should be, but it still has some issues, you know? So I think it's a good step, but it's not all the way right there, right? Like some people had great experience in the beginning and then now it's like not so good, or they had a bad experience to start and it's a little better with some people, and it's like, well, it seems like it's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, the worst part about that slowdown is you always get more rollback when people are inputting more buttons. That's been consistent since the game released. So if you're playing a shitty connection where there's a lot of rollback and you get a stun, they start mashing out a stun, you can't do your combo. I've dropped every single combo on a bad connection where I get a stun and I'm doing a jump in. I just do a jump in and then nothing happens. It's happened every single time on PS4. But it's interesting that you mentioned it's just adjusted because on PS4, I noticed that I could play certain people in battle lounges where it was definitely better. But overall on PS4, ranked has been way worse for me. So it's definitely varying from person to person and platform to platform. So I'd be curious for people to pay more attention to what platform they are on, because I've definitely been seeing a lot of people suggesting that their PC experience is better. And I kind of hope that Capcom looks at it that way too, about which platform they're referring to. But the other side of this is that Capcom seems to be listening. They actually mentioned the patch details 2 days too late, which is the problem. They should have mentioned this before they even put out the netcode update, which would have maybe tempered expectations from the community a lot and braced for the blow of the the feedback that everyone provided of nothing's changed, which is what it felt like for a while. But they actually put out patch notes of the actual technical details of what they changed, and are suggesting people to tweet out at Street Fighter V server and submit tickets to submit feedback for them to track it. If they'll actually listen to feedback is yet to be seen. But this is infinitely more than I would have expected from Capcom a month ago. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's a lot of the reason the initial negative reaction exists, right? Is like, it's been 4 years, and this is finally the first like adjustment that's happened, and there's still like that feeling of like, oh, I don't even know if they're ever gonna do anything again, right? Like, they're asking for feedback, and even still, we're like, who knows if that'll even get implemented? But it's like cool that they're asking for feedback. And like you, I tested it with a bunch of people that I played on regular, like, you know, the normal Street Fighter rollback before, and then playing it on the Ultimate version, and then playing it on the new version. And yeah, my experiences have all been like hit or miss. Like, some people who I had great connections with before or like, you know, is like better on one or worse on the other, and worse on the, you know what I mean? It's like all different. Like, I had someone who the regular version I couldn't play, the Ultimate version was great, and then this version is kind of like in the middle. It's not great. It's you know, kind of like rough. It's not really very doable. So it just depends on, I think, your opponent and your connection and maybe your machine or whatever. The other thing that was really interesting is they made a statement about it as well, right? That you mentioned. And in the statement, one of the things Capcom said is like, hey, don't play on Wi-Fi. You shouldn't play on Wi-Fi because your Wi-Fi could mess this up, which is good advice, right? Don't play on Wi-Fi. The second thing they said is, you know, don't play online if your PC doesn't run it at 60 FPS. And that started like a narrative in the community that was, it's the PC player's fault. That's why everything's messed up. Your guys' PCs are lagging and not running the game at 60 FPS. It's like, come on, guys. You really think the PS4 is running at 60 FPS all the time? It's downloading Apex Legends and Fortnite in the background, and
don't remind me.
You think it never gets hot ever? Like, come on. The PS4 is going to drop frames, and it's just something that's going to happen, right? And so having netcode that can handle when situations like that come up and resync is extremely important, because sometimes you will need to resync because there's lag, and sometimes it'll happen because the machine, whether it's the PS4 or the PC, will drop frames, right? It's just going to happen. Your PC could just start, like, your antivirus could go off in the background, and all of a sudden, you know, you're go from 60 FPS to 57 to 60, and like, it's because they're checking to see if all that, you know, fucking fairy armpit stuff you downloaded last night has anything in it that you shouldn't.
That's gross, man.
Yeah, so it's checking to make sure everything's okay. Well, maybe you downloaded a PDF about the effects of the coronavirus, something educational, all right? And it needs to scan that to make sure it works. You know what I mean? So I
do think that statement is amazing, though, that they made in there. If you are experiencing these issues during your online matches, it may be due to your or your opponent's network environment setting. In these situations, we recommend you review your network setup. But it's a little dismissive, right? At the end of the entire post where they address what they change, they kind of it's a little bit of a questionable move. They deflect any blame that, hey, maybe our implementation still sucks. It's probably you guys who have a shitty network setup or a shitty computer.
That's pretty funny.
But I misread it the first time. It may be due to your or your opponent's. I only read it may be due to your opponent's network environment setting.
That's way better.
Godlike. That would have been the number one way to phrase it. Yeah, it's not me. It's that guy's shitty Wi-Fi.
It's good on my end. My opponent's got nasty Wi-Fi, and he's a bitch. Just like, it's a very fighting game mindset of just like blame it on your opponent. Just like, dude, I tech that throw. It's your shitty internet that made it so that it didn't happen. It's all your fault.
Exactly. I was like, they knew their audience right there, but then I was like, no.
Yeah.
They said you or your audience, and fighting game players taking any blame for anything is not going to happen. That's no good.
It's so they're taking steps little by little to, you know, improve the netcode. All for what's coming up this year, by the way, the 2020 Olympics happening in Tokyo, and Intel World Open being a part of that, with the inclusion of both Rocket League and Street Fighter V. The official rule set was released this month. 250K on the line. It's going to be 3-on-3 battles, which is why they've been doing the beta tests for the tournaments, both singles as well as the team battle format they've had. I don't know if you guys have seen it between matches, if you guys have played Street Fighter V. But they've been taking these steps little by little to take feedback and fix all of this. I guess one of my questions about it is, if say Street Fighter V wasn't included in the Olympics, would they have taken these steps to start fixing the netcode?
It's probably a combination of that plus the patch, right? Like, the fan patch is, I think, really the catalyst that started this whole spiral into everybody freaking out, and then Capcom probably feeling forced to do stuff because of the Olympics, which is interesting, but it's like we'll never know the full truth, right? Like we'll just only be able to speculate about why.
I'm telling you, we need that documentary behind the buttons. We need someone to do an in-depth
Get
investigation of what the hell happened with Capcom during Street Fighter V. What is going on? This has been the story with the most turns and bends I've ever seen with a fighting game. This game has been the worst product ever to be released on the market, and it's actually come so far, but we have to like break their wrist to get them to move forward. It's just insane how much twisting and turning we go through to come to the final end of a functioning, working fighting game. Like, why can't the game just work? Why can't it just work? I don't understand. Mm-hmm. So one day we need to have someone who can finally figure out what went wrong.
It's just the tell-all story for sure.
Tell-all story, yeah.
We need it. Behind the button, someone make it happen, please.
Ono's best friend is like, I'm making a documentary. All right, tell me what happened. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Like it is so weird to think about all the things in Street Fighter that have gone wrong for it to end up going right. You know what I mean? It's like every bad thing that could have happened has happened and had to be fixed and adjusted and then changed, and then finally we make it to where we currently are, where it's like to get something right, something has to break first, and then we make it there. Is like right. The way everything's gone. And it's interesting because I think Street Fighter V has to be the most resilient game of all time. I feel like nothing else could have survived what it's been through, right? This thing is, if you want to test like a vaccine or something like that, you got to try it on Street Fighter V. It's indestructible. Nothing can destroy this game. Indestructible who knew that it was a hint of the future, right? Like this game is beefy. It is tough. It can survive anything. Anything. Nothing can beat this game. It's that powerful. It keeps slugging.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how it turns out just in time for the Olympics. What was it? They've finally announced the
rules.
The rule set for the qualifiers, and Japan being an auto-qualified team. Did I hear that correct?
Yeah,
they are. Yeah,
they're auto-qualified.
That's normal for apparently for like a host country of the Olympics.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's also Japan and Street Fighter.
They were going to do that anyway. Yeah, the Olympics could have been in Norway. They'd be like, well, Japan is, historically they have good relations with Norway, so it's really the host country. Yeah, that's fine. I also don't think any of us believe that Japan wouldn't have qualified a team, but it's still funny.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I also heard that they're like the number 1 seed. If that's true, that's really funny. But yeah, they're like qualified. They posted the rules. There was a bunch of drama about the rules being weird and like, playing the finals online on 2 different machines locally and like the single elim on like this and that. I don't even know how much of that will stick. I feel like a lot of the rules seem like they were just like copy pasted out of the Rocket League stuff, and they just like replaced a few things here and there. I expect some adjustments to the rules.
I don't even think these are the full rules, because I actually spent time trying to go through this to understand what is the format for the online qualifiers. They don't mention any fighting game specific terms at all. Like,
sure.
What is this 2 out of 3? Is this going to be 3 out of 5 for winners and grand finals? They do have an extremely in-depth document on what qualifies as doping. What is your allowed controller configuration? What is a macro? Like, if you look at the
you have to wear orderly long trousers at the finals. It says in the dress code you must wear orderly long trousers. Go to the millimeters.
They'll tell you. It's insane if you open this rule book.
Yeah, I've looked through it.
Caffeine is banned. That's a psychoactive drug. You're not allowed to use that before rip Red Bull. So it's just there's so much information in here, but none of it about the basic fighting game rule sets that we expect. So it just really presents itself as being a governing body that has no knowledge of its audience, which is what this is, right? This is like a corporate buyout of another community, someone else running it who doesn't know anything about the game they're running. It's really giving that impression, which is what I think we expected from the get-go, but they're really selling that now, especially with the key rule, which is what set everyone off. All LAN events will be played exclusively on PC and use dedicated Battle Lounge online lobbies as opposed to versus mode. See the FAQ below for more details. And there's no details.
Yeah. I think everybody expects that to change, right? Like, there's no way they're going to do the finals online, in person, with 2 different PCs or machines. You can just play on one PC. You don't need multiple PCs. You just do versus mode, right? I think all of us expect that to change. If it doesn't, it'll be funny. But I think a lot of us expect a lot of these rules to get ironed out. It seems like they had like a deadline to get these rules out or something, and they were like, all right, we got to get them out. And then whoever from Street Fighter, like from Capcom, I guess, who is like knows the rules, will get in there and be like, hey, this is what needs to happen. And they'll argue and fight about it until they come to a compromise, and then we'll get the amended rules eventually.
I would hope
that
so.
makes sense. I was pretty worried about all of this until you mentioned that it's kind of copy and pasted from Rocket League. So since that's the case, I do expect a lot of things to change.
Yeah, it seems like it's just like this is their generic rule set, and they were just like, all right, this will just apply. And they just threw it at the wall, and they're like, it'll stick. And now everybody's like, whoa. So, yeah.
Yeah, but some of this is also not copy and pasted. Like the format, so if you check the full rulebook format, all open qualifiers will have a single elimination bracket. Online qualifiers, single elim. The closed qualifiers will be double elimination. So there's open and closed. Closed is like the second round once you get past the first one. There's a lot of details about how many teams get through or how many people get through the first and the second.
Yeah.
And I'm getting kind of lost. There's a lot of detail here. But yeah, they mentioned that it'll be single elimination. So there's my FGC brain, FGC lingo right there. But what is the single elimination? Is there going to be 2 out of 3 games? Is it 1 round?
Yeah.
Is it 30 seconds? Like they don't mention any of the standard format,
rules,
and I don't trust them to know what the standard format is or what they're going to enforce or not. And the fact that they're saying single elimination is already insane, especially in an online environment where is this single elimination first to one online? I mean,
that'd be tight.
Is that where we're going?
SBO, baby. It's all.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't decide to, one, do their research, and 2, just hire somebody who's been in the community to just have them on board, like as an independent contractor, and just be like, you know what, we need your expertise here to just make these rules up. And it's not even that difficult of a rule set. There's been so many instances, so many like fighting game tournaments out there that you could just literally Google and figure out the format.
It seems like they did the hard part, right? Which is like they cut up all the countries, they like figured out when and where everything's gonna happen. Like it seems like the part that's left is like the easy part. Okay, the finals are played locally on one machine in versus mode, and it's the online portion, it's single elim, but it's 2 out of 3, or it's double elim and it's 2 out of 3, and grand finals, winner finals, loser finals, 3 out of 5. You know what I mean? Like I feels like the stuff that's left is like it should be the simple part. Right, and not this part, but it's very weird how this happened. That's the thing is, we just don't know. Like, there's nobody that's like, hey guys, you know what? This is just a misunderstanding because we don't have anybody that's like, hey guys, here's what happened. We're gonna get that fixed. Don't worry. Like, there's nobody here to say that, and so like it's funny because lately I've seen a lot of discourse that's like, hey, don't be mean to this person or that person or this person and that person. They're not involved with this. Like, don't be mean to whoever it is on. Whatever.
Who was involved?
Yeah, but that's the thing is like who's involved? Who do we like go like, hey, are you gonna get this fixed to? Right? Who do we ask about that or talk to about that? Right? Like
for Street Fighter, I feel like there's the most happening ever in the world of esports for Street Fighter right now, but I also know the least about it and feel the least excited about it.
Yeah,
at the same time.
It's
there's
like
so
they
much
have this
happening in CPT,
dude. Yeah, the CPT format.
Street Fighter League.
Yes.
None of it I know any about. I'm so confused. I'm trying to even compete. I can't figure out what the hell is the plan. What is the World Warriors Challenge in CPT?
Yeah.
How do I plan what I'm going to be doing for competing? What is Street Fighter League anymore? What is this? And what is the Intel Online? I've read the rules like 3 times. I still don't know what I have to do to enter this.
Yeah.
There's not a Smash GG page for me to go to and register. Like, I just don't understand what's happening.
It's so bizarre, right? Because there's so much that Capcom is doing. And it's like all like so fast. It's like, wow, look at all this stuff that's going on. And it's just like there's just who knows what's happening, right? There's like so little documentation or explanation, or even like Tekken just announced their tour, right? And they had like Rip and Mark over there like discussing, hey, here's what's going on with the tour, here's all the locations and stuff. Like, where's like a video with, I guess all of Capcom's champions are gone, but like somebody just on camera being like, hey everybody, the tour is coming up, this is how the split tour works. Cool. Hey, this is how SFL is gonna work. Hey, this is how this is gonna work, right? Like there's no would be great. Yeah, like it would be super great to have that kind of thing, right? Especially when like for us, like I'm not like SFL to me, I was not interested in it before. This version looks like it could be more interesting, but I'm focused on CPT, so I want details about that. So like, having no details about it is really like, it's a weird feeling to just be like, what's going to even happen with this, right?
Right. But
it's so strange.
I don't know. I'm kind of curious myself. I think Anton posted his gripes about it. not having any of the details about the actual CPT itself in this part of the game or this part of the year has been pretty wild to see, honestly, because a lot of these guys depend on they're I don't know how
You got to book
say
travel
this,
and stuff too, right? It's coming up.
yeah, their livelihood as a professional gamer, I guess.
For sponsorships,
is
they often
big deal.
resolve around this, right? So understanding the strategy you want to take. I mean, you might just not go to every single event, right? So 22 out of the 40 spots for the CPT come from this World Warriors Challenge, which is a complete mystery, which we know nothing about. Apparently, it starts in August, is what I heard. But what does it mean? Should I even bother traveling for this first half of the year? Should I wait for the second half of the year? Should I focus entirely on this other mini game within the CPT? There's just no details, which should be set at the beginning of the year, because that's what drives for many players how they negotiate contracts, how they plan with their sponsor, what they're going to be doing. Is a kind of a financial take to this for people who this is their career. So it just leaves everybody in a very insecure position. Like, that's just how I feel about it. I feel insecure about everything that's going on with Street Fighter right now and the competitive scene. I just don't really know what to expect for any of it.
And then there's that underlying issue of whether or not some of these events are going to be happening, depending on the current state of affairs in the world with the coronavirus, right? One of the biggest things is that our first major event for the Capcom Pro Tour, Brussels Challenge, has actually been canceled.
Brussels,
not even just
April
CPT,
Annihilation, and NCR, all three events are pulled from the CPT, which, like, I think we kind of expect this to happen, right? Like, I think Tekken's first event will probably also get pushed back. I think lots of events will get pushed back till at least past April, maybe, or at least
Oxus as well.
Like everything through March will probably get pushed away, and I think maybe into April as well, because that's usually when flu season starts to taper off. A lot of people are very worried about this. And I think a lot of people will expect more cancellations coming up soon, right? It makes sense because, like, if you think about it, it's like, all right, Capcom pulls out of these three events, right? I think that's probably the right decision because there's two things that happen. Either one is these events like happen, they're CPT events, something bad happens, and maybe there's a case of coronavirus there or something. And now suddenly everybody at that tournament is at risk of having coronavirus, or CPT pulls out of it and says, hey guys, you have to be careful and safe. This is like a worldwide thing, and they're being preempted to try to stop people from getting sick and stuff. So I think you have to be a little careful about travel and like going to crowded events or anything like that. I mean, even there's talk about like, I know IEM Katowice didn't have any like spectators and stuff, but there's talks about the Olympics being canceled this year, actually, just overall. Dick Pound from the Olympic community or whatever it is was like, we're going to keep monitoring it, but if it's not looking good by May, we're axing the Olympics. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Richard
they decided
Pound,
to move it.
Yes.
I think the plan is like, considering how bad it gets, they're probably going to postpone it to maybe August, or like just obviously towards the later end of the year, because it's been too wild. They were saying that you have to keep people quarantined for about like maybe a month or something, or no less than that. But
yeah, I thought it was like if you get sick with it too, it's like 2 to 6 weeks is like the time that you could be sick with it or something. It's a long time. So, and there's like a 2-week incubation period as well. It's like brutal.
Yeah. So I mean, with that in mind, there's a lot of concern to whether or not you should be traveling to these events. Obviously, if I were you guys, just stay safe, keep yourself quarantined, stay home. Really, it's not worth it, obviously.
Yeah, and I expect more cancellations coming because what they did for CPT is they're going in chronological order. So it's Brussels sprouts, the Brussels Challenge, and sorry, that's what
the former vegan in you
on my stream. And then what was the other one? The 2 USA events. It was NCR and April Annihilation, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of expect them just to be monitoring the situation and just going down the list. Right, if the situation doesn't improve, there might not be a first half of the tour, right? So lots of things shaking up how this is all working out, but it's definitely the right move. I mean, this is nothing to play with. So removing some of these events are probably going to still go on, especially like the local USA ones, because there hasn't been like a major outbreak in the US yet. But removing the incentive for people to travel internationally from all over, I think is a smart play from Capcom and tour organizers, because one thing is, you get a headline on event hubs for your event canceled. The other one is being on CNN for being the epicenter for a new outbreak, right? So it's kind of just a sad reality of what's going on right now.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be careful. And I mean, yeah, you've seen cancellations in everything, right? Like it's been in every aspect of events or organizations and stuff like that. I mean, even in Japan, they're like, hey, kids can't go to school. It's like 2 days. We don't want anybody going to public school for like X amount of time. And like all the gatherings over there have been canceled, or at least a lot of them and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It just makes sense. I think around the world, you'll see lots of stuff, especially in the first half of this year, being canceled because of it until we get kind of the scope of where we're at. And, you know, it affects our community a lot too. I feel especially bad. I mean, for everybody, right? It's like such a rough time. But like if your job relies on you to travel and like attend events and stuff, and you're all getting canceled and stuff, like, you know, it's brutal. Not even just in like our scene, but you know, internationally, if your job is to travel to places and you can't, right, because of this, it's pretty rough. It's probably rough for a lot of people. So, yeah, it's pretty brutal, and I hope that it's not something that like spreads out throughout the year. Normal flu season usually ends around April. I don't know that this will or not. Like, who knows in the meantime? But I hope that it means by the second half of the year, it's not quite as rough as it is now.
I mean, we'll see. I'm pretty sure, like month after month, as we continue to do these shows, we'll have some sort of update, and I guess hopefully it gets contained this year at least, minimum. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully,
it seems like a pretty scary thing, man.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Red Bull Gaming Sphere is getting shut down, or has been shut down. We saw GDC was canceled.
Yeah.
Like, it's affecting so many things for sure.
Yeah, it's dangerous, man. I'm definitely concerned as someone who has 2 trips in the next month and a half or something already. I'm like, well, here we go. It's all domestic, but like you never know what's gonna happen, you know.
Sure.
So, yeah,
There's even
especially
speculation of
in the
SoCal
U.S.
having a
if you're in the
slight
hospital for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, that's gonna cost a couple of dollars. That's for sure. I'm gonna come back to the stream. Hell, this is gonna be
stream
rough.
from the hospital.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna be in bed like. My computer wrapped in a plastic bag. Like, hey, what's up, guys? Stream today is gonna be a little short. You know, we need to raise $20 million so I can afford to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's gonna be brutal.
It's pretty awful. But that pretty much rounds out the entirety of what we wanted to talk about this month. So many things have happened, and there's so much more to look forward to. Again, we mentioned it slightly. One of them being Final Kombat, the big event for Mortal Kombat 11 happening next weekend, March 7th. Granblue officially releasing for North America happening on the 3rd, and their official launch party, if you are in Southern California, it is happening in Hollywood on March 7th as well. Any other events that you guys wanted to throw down or throw info for?
What's coming up soon? I'm trying to think.
Do we know who won? Do we know who won the LCQ for Final Kombat?
Has that happened already?
I thought that happened.
I thought that they had just posted the brackets and stuff for it. I think it's on site, right?
It's probably just that.
Yeah, I know people are saying the bracket's pretty stacked. They had an issue where like originally it was capped or something, and then like a lot of people couldn't get into it, so they had to like figure out a way to deal with it. Like there's a lot of really good players like Kevo, and I saw a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, Kemonomichi is in a few hours. That reminds me. Kemonomichi
that's right.
Punk versus Infectious is in 2.5 hours from now.
Nice.
So it's 2.5 hours from now. That'll be the Kemonomichi. There's an ST match where one of the guys has been on there every time, and then the other guy was like, yeah, I can't defeat him. He's impossible. I've never beaten him a game in my life. And then there's the Street Fighter 5 match, and then there's a single player like it's like a bullet hell game where like she holds like the world record, and she just beat her own record after like 3 or 4 years of trying to beat her own record. She finally beat it recently, so she's gonna do like her, like, you know, try to beat this bullet hell game. I know nothing about that game, but I love bullet hell games, so I'm gonna watch because I'm really interested in seeing it. That sounds fun. So Kemonomichi starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for those of you in the US. 2.5 hours from now.
And also notable fighting game community member and Street Fighter Chad Kenny Omega is defending his tag team titles tonight at AEW Revolution.
Dang.
I see.
So
yeah,
I'll be tuned into that.
Yeah,
that guy got taken out by Ono with the chair. I saw that. That was pretty.
That's true.
He asked about the LCQ, and Ono brought the chair out. He's like, not on my watch. Bam! Just laid into him. That was tight.
That was great. It brought some pretty fun memes afterwards too.
Yeah. That was
So I was a
tight.
fan
Yeah,
of that.
AEW is tonight too. I think what's interesting though is like, I was thinking about upcoming events. There is some stuff coming up, but a lot of stuff will probably be canceled, particularly international events, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty rough. I'm happy that Kemonomichi is at least still happening tonight. Fudo had his wedding last night, and Daigo was really drunk, so I can't wait to see
Of
him on
course.
camera today.
Was that video from this wedding?
Yeah.
Of Daigo just yelling belligerently
Oh yeah.
Yes.
out of his mind.
Dude, there was like, so they were doing like the big group picture of like the bride and groom, and they had everybody together, right? And like Daigo wasn't in the picture, so then they're like getting ready to take it. They're like, wait, Daigo, come over here. So Daigo comes into the side, and like everybody else is wearing a suit and tie, and he's wearing like his HyperX, Beast TV, Gillette
Twitch,
bomber
Red
jacket.
Bull.
What a beast.
And he's standing there, and he's like looking around and stuff, and they're like, no, wait, you got to go towards the middle. So he moves into the middle, and he's completely covering Choco Blanco. Like she's like trying to like look over his shoulder, and she can't because he's like taking up so much space. And then Mago's like, come to the middle. So he gets it right in the middle of the shot, literally between the bride and the groom, with his bomber jacket with all his sponsors and everything, and everybody else is wearing a suit, and he's like,
Secured
And
the
then-
bag.
Mago throws up the peace
By
sign,
any
and
means
Daigo's like,
necessary.
Yeah.
and he takes the pic. Dude, it was a classic Daigo moment. I was like, this guy, man.
As far as I'm concerned, he's asleep at Kemonomichi, and they're gonna shake him and wake him up 5 minutes before the
I
broadcast.
hope he's
starts.
wearing shades. Like, I really hope that he's got like the shades on, and he's just leaning against the table like this. Like, it's great. It's gonna be. And Audu was there too. Audu has done all the commentary on Street Fighter and like the announcing for Kemonomichi. He emceed Fudo's wedding last night, so he was like there doing like all the emceeing and stuff. And then like, so today he's got to be at Kemonomichi too. So I'm sure he's in a state. I don't know what state it'll be, but yeah, it's pretty great.
There's also a lot of dope clips coming out from the wedding tournament, right? Where everybody that competed was married. And of course, the most notable being Dogura's wife just staring daggers at him as he lost to Haitani. And Haitani just like bouncing his child, being that happy. It's so good.
It was great.
So
The
good.
best is like the round one match, Bonchan beat like Sako, and Sako's head goes down, and Bonchan looks at his wife, and he's like, yeah! Like he's like celebrating and stuff, and Sako's just miserable. He's like, damn it.
Immediately went to the twins, started shaking their hands, like, yeah.
It's too dangerous. That
It was
tournament is
adorable.
like too high stakes, man. Like you can't have the wife and family watching you in person as you just get
Letting
crushed.
them down.
It's like,
right
you've spent
next
so
to
much
you.
time away from this marriage for fighting games. You're gonna let me down here when I'm watching you?
That's
You
horrible.
son of a...
It's horrible.
As High Fight said, more pressure than CPT.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
For
Dogura's
sure.
face after two, he was like melting. Like his face, they're doing like an interview, and his wife is just staring daggers, and like Dogura's just melting into, like he can't even like answer the question. And then she broke, like she couldn't keep staring daggers. She just started laughing because like
I gotta see that interview.
yeah, it's too fun. Like Dogura's face, he's just literally he's got like a quadruple chin because his face is like melting into like his neck. And she's just staring at him, and she can't help herself. She just starts dying laughing. Like she breaks.
She was hounding him as soon as he got off the station. So that was the deepest bow.
Yeah,
Like,
he
get out of
bowed
here. You don't
90
deserve to be
degrees.
at the station anymore. And as soon as he started walking off, she was hounding him.
Yeah.
It was such a great clip.
With
Shouts
how
to
big of a
High Five.
troll he is, it makes sense that she is a massive troll too. It makes
Payback.
perfect sense.
That is a match made in heaven. I want my wife.
Yeah.
Fuck up. Yeah, just stare daggers at me.
The tournament that we're talking about was Fudo's wedding. Had an 8-man tournament, which was all married Street Fighter players playing against each other in like a single elim bracket. It's a lot like the Olympics. And they played against each other, and I think Fudo actually won in the end. He beat Kazunoko, and I was like, damn it, I really wanted Kazunoko to beat him at his own wedding. So he got second, but he got him. So I was like, all right, fair enough. So that's what they played it last night on Fudo's stream. You can go check it out. He had like 7,000 or 8,000 viewers for his wedding when I tuned in. I was like, all right, sick.
That's so cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see more clips to put up on our social medias. Speaking of which, hey, now that we've kind of rounded up all the topics, where can we find everybody on their social medias? Starting with you, Brian F. I feel like yours is the hardest, so we're getting
Let me see if I can get it right this time. I beefed it every other time. It's Brian_F, BRIAN_F on Twitch and YouTube. On Twitter, I still have my Xbox Live gamer tag BRI4NF. If anyone out there can help me secure the Brian_F from Mr. Ferguson, who I'm pretty sure passed away several years ago, I will gladly take it. Just putting that out there.
Okay.
Mr.
Rynge, how about you,
Ferguson.
bud?
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Rynge with an underscore at the end, because much like Brian, I was not able to secure Rynge proper in time, and some Swedish business group has it. And that person's like last name is Rynge, so like I can't even like, and they're still alive, so I don't have much of a chance at getting that name.
That's a step up for my guy.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitch. Actually, I've been streaming consistently these past 2 weeks. Going to continue in next week. On Rynge, I actually have the proper name on Twitch at the very least. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Hell yeah. Twitter, Twitch, and now on YouTube. Vicious FGC is where you can find me. I just started doing the YouTube thing, uploading matches little by little for Granblue Fantasy Versus for WNF. I will be doing it more frequently, so if you guys want to check it out, it's always highly appreciated. And of course, I'll be streaming Granblue a good amount this month, as well as some Street Fighter 5. And of course, you guys have been tuning into Sajam. Sajam, where can they find you on all your social media platforms?
Sajam on Twitch and Twitter. And then if you type in Sajam, it'll show up on YouTube. But my YouTube, I think, is Superman Sajam, because when I made it, you couldn't put Sajam. 5 letters was not enough. You had to have 6. So I was like, that's fucked. Who does that? So, yeah, that's where you can find everything. This will get uploaded later on Spotify and iTunes and I don't know, whatever. It's in a lot of places. Stitcher or something, wherever the kids use these days. Yeah. Spotify and iTunes is what you should use, probably. Whatever you listen to stuff on, whatever feeds they have for this, you can find it there. And it always goes up on YouTube also, and the YouTube has the timestamps, so you can find it on there as well. If you missed part of this or you want to check out some stuff that you missed, I stream Monday through Friday, as if you tune into this channel, and sometimes Saturday when we do this podcast. We're also starting our D&D show pretty soon on Tuesdays. And Rynge has been teasing a bunch of the art, so if you hit !cast, you can find his Twitter, and then go check out some of the art that he's been teasing on there. And then I also have a podcast that I've been meaning to start, and Steve's been too busy, so I might just have someone else as the first guest, because Steve is, you know how Steve is. He's always flying around the world in his private jet and his off-white hoodie, and like he's always busy. So I might have to do something else. So that's the plan. Is that everybody?
It sure is.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch you guys around. Thanks, everybody who dropped subs and stuff. And I'll run a quick ad and then send you guys on your way somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know what's live today, but I'll send you guys out of here. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll catch you guys around. Peace out.
Peace.